Holy shit, I finally got around to watching the first 5 episodes of Ping Pong the Animation, and it was everything I hoped it would be. It is fantastic. You're probably wondering, Digi, why did you have such high hopes for a show about ping pong? Well, the thing is, Ping Pong the Animation is being directed by Masaaki Yuasa, who is a very experimental, eclectic director known for doing all kinds of weird, out there shit. Oddly enough, I was never a fan of Masaaki Yuasa in the past because I thought most of his shows were just too much. They're usually very out there, hard to grasp. Like Kaiba is probably one of the most experimental animated series that's ever been made, and it can be hard to get a grip on. But over time, I've gotten into these sort of more challenging shows that deal more with themes and with symbolism than they do with direct storytelling. Ping Pong the Animation is not as extreme or difficult as a lot of Masaaki Yuasa shows are. It is actually an adaptation of a manga, but I have no idea how true to the manga it may be. And while there is a heavy dose of style and trippiness to the show, it is still very grounded in reality. The characters are humans, they're in high school, it's like normal, like it takes place in our reality, but it has a very surrealist slant where the imagery during ping pong matches will get fucking crazy, or the characters might be drawn in a somewhat surrealist way or from angles that you wouldn't expect. And the directing is definitely noteworthy for being abnormal. In a good way, a very good way. Being as I never really finished a Masaaki Yuasa show in the past, I can't make a comment on how I would consider him as a director altogether, but his directing on this show is fantastic. I love it. Ping Pong the Animation is a show that I can see a lot of people not getting into. I can think of a lot of reasons that people would not enjoy this show. The first of them is that the character designs are very offbeat, let's say. This is not the kind of show that you watch to look at gorgeous characters. You're not gonna get the perfect on-model character art every time. This show relishes in drawing its characters weirdly, or sometimes even crudely, because it's definitely a show with a budget allocation. During the ping pong matches, the animation is as fantastic as it could possibly be. Masaaki Yuasa has long been known as one of the greatest animators in Japan. His work shines here. The team pulls out crazy shit when ping pong is happening, but when ping pong is not happening, then all bets are off on how the characters are going to look on a moment-to-moment basis. The show goes for realism in both its character designs and in its voice acting, which is pretty interesting. Most of the characters just look like people, but somewhat exaggerated. Again, there's like a surreal aspect to it. And the voices all sound very real. There's even a Chinese character who, with his coach, he can't speak English. They only speak in Chinese, which is pretty cool to see in an anime show. You don't often get someone who can only speak in an entirely different language fluently and well. And the other reason that people might not get into the show is that the characters are not necessarily likable. All of them are very interesting, but there's no one with a really main character thrust to them. There's no one that you're like, I'm gonna root for that guy all the time, because the show is almost dark in the way it presents its characters. Like, no one really seems like the heroic type. It's hard to explain this if you haven't seen the show yourself, but all of the characters are immediately deeply flawed, to the point of their flaws almost being more in the forefront than their skills, which makes all of the characters very interesting, to say the least. If you watch shows for intrigue rather than for escapism. Let's put it that way. This is not escapist media. This is a show that's all about themes and characterization. It's about flaws in people. It's about looking inward. It's introspective. And if that's the kind of show that appeals to you, which it totally does to me, I don't really go for escapism that much anyways in media, then this show might appeal to you. There's a hell of a lot to analyze about it, and when it's over, I definitely intend to do a full-on analysis of the show. Because it changes so much, there's a lot of things that get introduced on an episode-to-episode basis, so I would feel uncomfortable analyzing it in depth now. There's a lot of great things to talk about, a lot of themes, such as the theme of selfishness plays a big role in this show, where each character's kind of trying to get what they want, and we see how it comes at the detriment of others in unexpected ways. There's themes of genius and talent and things like that, which are kind of common to sports shows, but this one handles them in a very interesting and somewhat dark way. way. It's been fascinating to watch, and it's kept me on my toes. After 5 episodes, I've always been surprised and intrigued by what each new episode brings to the table. I'm also going to link down in the description to a series of posts written by anime blogger ajthefourth on her blog Atelier Emily. She has written 4 posts about this show so far after episodes 1, 3, 4, and 5. All of them are really great analytical posts. She, unlike me, is more willing to explore these themes as they come up, even though sometimes some of her points might be nullified by the next episode, but she keeps modifying the points as she goes along. So it's an interesting blog to follow. If you're going to follow my videos, I also recommend following her posts on this show because they're really well written and interesting. There's so many elements of this that just kick ass. You won't find sound design like this show anywhere else. There's scenes that just grip you and are like shake you, and they're super memorable. No other show this season has had scenes that are memorable the way the ones in this show are. The kind that strike a chord deep with you, where even if you're not that invested in the storyline of the characters, just the way the scenes are presented alone can make them stand out. And that's a powerful thing from anime. That's not something that a lot of anime can boast. Most anime shows tend to be more about concepts and characters, where you get invested in the world building or the storytelling or the character development. So when a show comes along that really takes the reins of the animation medium and communicates through that more than anything, this show gets you by being animation, the way characters are drawn, the way images move, the way the sound plays off of the moving images. That's what makes this show special. And that's what makes directors like Masaaki Yuasa so legendary in the animation circuit, is that he's really pushing the medium, as people like to say. He is doing that. There is a sense of, oh, this is what animation can do. It's a show that could not be communicated in novel form, which is why it's interesting that it's based on a manga, because I'd be very interested to see how the manga could possibly communicate these scenes, and if they are that much more powerful in the anime series, where the sound and animation of the ping pong match that happens in episode 3 between the main character Smile and the Chinese guy, who everyone calls China, the way that scene is presented is so fucking intense, and it's because of the main character humming this song, and the animation is done to the beat of the song that he's humming. There's just moments in this show where it almost feels like a music video, where the hitting of the ping pong balls takes on a musical cadence, and like you'll hear a stadium full of ping pong turn into a song, and it just intensifies all of the emotions tenfold. If you want to see something different, if you want to see something that will challenge you in some way, or just give you intriguing animation, definitely check out Ping Pong. If you want to play it safe, though, don't watch this show. If you don't think you're going to be interested in something that's really different from what you normally watch, then the show probably won't be for you. But I would definitely recommend at least trying it out. I know a lot of people are going to be turned off by the art style right away, but if you can get past that, then you're in for something great. And I'll be covering it again probably in like 12 hours, because there's another episode about to come out.